Welcome back to Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today we're going to take a look at the third episode of Hard Knocks. I didn't do a review for episode 2 because the Baltimore Ravens had about 13 to 20 seconds of footage in that week, that episode. Well, we were on a bye week 2 as well, but episode 3 picked up. We got a lot of coverage to start with and some interesting things. So I'm just going to go through the scenes and talk about how I felt, with each scene and what certain things mean to me and things that were said and whatnot. And we just break down the episode here. So I appreciate you guys coming back. Welcome back to Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans. Let's run that intro. We opened the episode with a spirited introduction to Pittsburgh's game plan versus Philadelphia Eagles. And Mike Tomlin has a way with words, so to speak. And he talked about their business being, and I'm paraphrasing here, their business being kick ass. And if you ain't about to kick ass, you need to find something else to do. So that guy has a way with words. He has a way of motivating guys, and seems to be a cool dude to actually play with. But that was the opening scene before they ran the intro and all that good stuff. So HBO sets the scene early by giving us the 4 players that they're going to pretty much feature in this episode. For the Baltimore Ravens, that's Roquan Smith. For the Cleveland Browns, that's Denzel Ward. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's Russell Wilson. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, it's Jamar Chase. In this opening montage where they let you know who are the players that they're going to follow, you get Rowe talking about physicality. And that's one of the things that we always know he tries to instill in the defense, to play physical and to play fast. And so hearing him speak on that is major, because he probably need to talk to the offense too, but that's for a different day. So Roquan is the first guy that they kind of broke off to feature. And in his drive to what seems to be Owen Mills from Baltimore City, he talks about how the bye week gives them a mental reset, and he doesn't realize, or individuals don't realize how stressful your week in, week out operations are when it comes to getting mentally prepared for football. So the bye week lets you mentally reset and go back in and come with your best games down the stretch. Keeping with that theme of physicality, he also talked about how he looked up to Ray Lewis and how Ray Lewis was such a thumper, and that's what he tries to do. And he said he always look at Ray Lewis's big hits, even though he can't do some of those big hits now because the rules have changed. But within the rules of the game, he loves the big hits. He loves to try to get big hits. He loves to try to intimidate guys with the big hits, and just physicality, man. He's a physical linebacker. He loves physicality, loves hitting people, and he's a guy that gets after it, and that's what was featured in this part. And they also talked about his recovery too as well. He had the red light in the massage room, and the lady was getting all the tissues from the neck to the feet. And he talked about how recovery is so important in football, and he won't be the only one that's mentioned. That's featured as far as recovery goes in this episode. They're gonna talk about Denzel later in the episode as well, and show some stuff about Denzel Ward later in the episode as well. And so now we get to a team meeting that's being led by Coach Harbs, and it's really interesting to me to see how Tomlin, Stefanski, and I forget the Bengals coach name, how they talk to their teams when compared to John. And it seems like night and day. Like Mike seems like a guy that I would probably run through a wall with, but John, and we only get to see so much. John seems like the overall CEO that's just trying to run the business, the day-to-day business, and don't really have a lot of personal connection with the guys that are running the day-to-day business. That's what it seems like. But I wanted to take a look at their board and kind of see what things were on their board. And it says December football season. Commit everything, save nothing. And he talked about having a bye week leading up to December football, which is the real season. It also goes on to say all in, all the time, every aspect. The words lock in are highlighted. Then they come with align, assign, technique, and execution. Those are some words that are used when grading players too. Like when you have your individual grade sheets, a lot of, as detailed as the coach want to go, you get a grade on alignment, assignment, technique, and execution. and some have more, but those are normally the things that you get graded on when the coach is grading a player. The next line says, leave no room for regret. And as a person that lives with regret, that's something that you don't want to do. You want to leave it all on the field, because that stuff never leaves you. Living witness, this stuff never leaves you. What does your best football look like? Show it, prove it, put it on display. December is the time for our best football. We can potentially catch the Steelers with some good December football, but even more so, be riding a high going into the playoffs if we play good December football. Next thing it says, energy 100, technique 100, physicality 100, and we mentioned physicality earlier. Assignment 100, effort 100. Again, lock in, one play, start and finish, stack play, stack drive, stack a quarter, half, and game. Then it says, back it up, put in reverse. This is about practice. There's the meeting to walk through the practice. Practice, make like the game, make it harder than the game. That's practice. And then the last one says, then slam it in the gear, hit the accelerator, and drive through the game with everything you've got. And he actually said that, well, they actually showed that part when he said it in the scene. After the team meeting, we got an opportunity to see Lamar whipping that thing around in practice. We got a chance to see him in, I want to say 11s. We got him in 7-on-7 with the helmet off. And he was just throwing that thing around effortlessly, similar to what happened on Sunday. So we get taken into the defensive meeting room, and Zach Orr said some things that I really feel like can be accomplished here in these last 4 weeks of the NFL season. Need takeaways to become an elite level defense. And I know our overall numbers will never this season put us at an elite level defense because we started off so terrible. But his last comment that I want to mention is vital to the takeaways. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, let's be the best defense in the NFL these last 4 weeks. So if you add takeaways to what they've done over the past 3 weeks, it's crazy. And there's a graphic out there, and I might throw it up over my face in post, that says weeks 1 through 10, we had some terrible defensive numbers. But weeks 11 through 14, we were one of the best defenses in the NFL. And if we can add takeaways to that and play on this high level for these last 4 games, or last 3 games now, because we've already beat the Giants, I think the sky's the limit for this team. So we got some game audio, nothing really, crazy or exciting, because they probably cut out a lot of stuff. The Ravens, they known for cutting. But the funny thing to me was the Ted's touchdown. Before then they lined up, Harbs was like, "What is this play?" And he threw the touchdown. He was like, "Oh snap, that's my play." So apparently, it's a little wrinkle he threw in there, and he scored a touchdown on it. Go figure. But salute Harbs, even though he didn't recognize it from the jump, or apparently didn't hear the call either in the headphones. Congrats, Teds, though. So next they slide over to Cleveland, and Denzel Ward is now featured in this part, and they pretty much get Denzel. They talk about some stuff, with the team meeting, but as far as Denzel Ward, they get him in this office and bring his mom in, and they think they're about to do an interview, and then he's he's informed that he is the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Cleveland Browns for his charity. I think his charity that has to deal with heart issues, because he lost his dad at an early age to I think he said a heart attack. So he has a charity that kind of focuses on that aspect, and mentioned he's an Ohio kid, went to Ohio State, played for Cleveland, Ohio through and through. And also talked about his recovery on day to day, what he did on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. He gets IV, he gets massages, he get little cold treatment. It's a bunch of stuff these dudes spend on recovery. And now that I mentioned it, everybody talked about recovery in this episode. Because while I'm speaking, I remember Russ talking about his recovery and how we'll get to that in a minute. Jay Moore talking about his recovery as well. And Jamar's recovery I've done before, and we'll talk about it in a second. But Denzel Ward was the Cleveland Browns Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. Went out there and they lost to the Chiefs, but for the most part, this kind of wraps up the Browns. You know, they talking about basically playing for pride, and just trying to finish on a good note and be professionals. They got the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Ravens left, so it's gonna be their end of the season was 4 hard games: Kansas City, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens. And even though the Dolphins, the record not very good, they still explosive on offense. Next up is Jamar Chase, and he's the focus for the Cincinnati Bengals part of Hard Knocks episode 3. And he talks about how he wants to win the Triple Crown, and not only just this year, he wants to try to win that every year. Talked about his recovery and how he goes into the crowd chamber, and the dude that kind of explained how that works made it seem real interesting about, like, it says your body goes into fight or flight and all your blood goes to your internal organs to make sure you stay alive. And then once you step out, that blood comes rushing back, and that's good for recovery. And again, I paraphrase, so if you can check the episode out to see exactly what he said. But I've done the cryo chamber before, and that crap is cold as all get out. Me, my wife, and my daughter went, and we were gave us robes and whatnot, gave us gloves, gave us a beanie, and we were supposed to drop the robe once we got in the cryo chamber. Nah, it was too cold in there. But I do understand the use of it. If it was something I had to do on a daily basis, or not daily basis, a weekly basis for my recovery, definitely would do it. And I look forward to going again. But that thing cold is all get out. We also were introduced to Jamar's dad in this episode, Jimmy Chase. Is it Jimmy? I think it is Jimmy. Yeah, it is Jimmy. And so this guy's a character, man. In the initial interview, they was interviewing him. I heard that Southern Louisiana accent when he said "pernt" instead of "point." So I knew exactly what part of the United States they're from. I know that area very well, and that's Southern Louisiana through and through. My roommate was from that area in college, and he used to say, instead of getting an oil change, he would say, like, I got to get my oil changed, and he'd always put "yeah" on the end of stuff. Like, you mad at me? Yeah. Are we going to get lunch? No. And then when I went and kicked it with him for Thanksgiving, his mom would always say "baby" in a certain way that New Orleans ladies say "baby," and I'm gonna just move on from that. And to wrap up the Bengals part of Hard Knocks, it really sucks to use one of your best defensive players on offense for a specialty play, and that's the play they get hurt on. And talking about Hubbard, when on his touchdown catch, he hurt his knee. That's and I don't necessarily care about the Bengals because they're our rival, but as far as, being a coach and being in the sport, you hate to use a guy not in his primary spot and then he get hurt. That freaking sucks. But let's finish this thing out and talk about Pittsburgh and Russell Wilson a little bit. And so they jump right into Russ's recovery issues, well, not issues, but methods and what he does to recover and keep himself in tune. And they also told a little story. But for the most part, he uses the pool to do a bunch of things with his legs, whether it's his quarterback drops, his sprints, all different kinds of stuff. We also saw him getting a red light massage as well. It just was a different version than what Roquan got, but it still was a red light issue. And so he told this story about Leon Washington when he was in Seattle, and Leon asked him, well, how many massages you get? He was like, he a rookie, like one a week, and I got one a week in college, and nothing really in Seattle. And Leon told him, basically you need to get 3 a week. And Russell's like, well, I ain't got that type of money. I'm a rookie or whatever. And he said, you need 3 a week, and we're going to play 20 seasons. And they basically asked him how much that's going to cost him. And he was like $6,000. So Washington told him, that's $6,000 for you. gonna turn into $6 million for me, but it might turn into $60 million for you. And Russ was like, well, I guess I'll be getting massages from here on out. And they won the Super Bowl the very next year. They also showed Russ opening a Why Not Youth Center in Pittsburgh. I want to say it's an outreach for young kids. And him and his wife Sierra was there. And I can't remember if it was a Pat Queen interview or somebody from the Steelers, maybe Najee, but they were surprised at how much she's around and involved. They think like a superstar like her would just kind of let Russ do his thing and show up on games and whatnot. But they say she's around all the time with the family. So they're like family. And she's around when they have events, and she's like one of the other family members. From what the I can't remember who the interview was though, who the interview was with. So what I like that Russell has done, I'm going to say employed a former teammate of his, Jake Heaps. And what Jake does, and from what I can tell, is he scouts the team that they'll play next, and then he sits down with Russ and kind of goes through the different things that he saw on tape, and they kind of communicate among whatever's the best way to defeat these guys. Now, I don't know how many guys maybe do that or even need to do that, but I think that's a great idea if you have the means to do. You got a guy that played with you in Seattle, so he kind of has a general idea of how you think and how you operate. And so now he's working with you with your new team, and he wasn't good enough to stay in the league, so you're employing him to do something that he loves to do, and it's going to benefit you, in the long run. It's the weeks go by so fast. You got an extra set of eyes on the other team, an extra set of eyes that already know how he wants to operate and what he's comfortable with, and can give him tips to be successful versus other teams. I think it's a great idea. And when I saw it, I was like, man, that's smart as hell. They cut to the Steelers at practice, and I talked about in this episode how Mike Tomlin has a way with words. And we as coaches, you always see like kids kind of, not going through the motions, so to speak. And it's the term we call half-assing. And so Tomlin mentioned half-assing in practice, and he changed it around. He say, nah, no half-assing. We full-assing this shit in practice. So Tomlin has a way with words that really resonates with me personally. I don't know how, you guys feel, us being Ravens fans, but that's my opinion. And before I kind of wrap this thing up, there was a part in the Eagles and the Steelers game. Obviously, the Eagles won that game, where they had a fight in the end zone, where Washington kind of blocked Darius Slay to the end zone, and a kind of fight ensued after it. And both penalties in that case were on the Steelers. So the referee's explaining to Mike, hey, both penalties are on you guys. And Mike goes, well, you didn't see the guy from Philadelphia throwing punches? And the referee said, they said, and then whoever told him that. I know as an individual coach, when he said they said, I would have lost my mind on him. Like I would have lost all marbles on him. They said, it's not nothing y'all saw, or you saw, or, whoever threw the flag need to be here explaining to me, not you, not the messenger. Whoever threw the flag need to be here, and I'm being calm about it because I would have lost my stuff. And I honestly think after that, Tomlin lost his stuff too because they cut away from that conversation. But when he said they said, man, I'd have lost it. I would have lost it. But that's just the competitive fire, I guess. But again, they lost that game, and we can kind of wrap this thing up here in just a second. All right, and to close this episode out, the standings as they stand going into week 16. Steelers are 10-4. The Ravens are 9-5. Those two teams play each other this week. The Bengals are 6-8. The Browns are 3-11. Those two teams as well play each other this week. So we'll get the next episode will be an entirely AFC North episode with all four teams playing against each other. So I look forward to that, especially the coverage of the Steelers versus the Ravens, because there will probably be some stuff that the Ravens won't cut that the Steelers may allow. And we may get another insight into what is said or what is done, at least during the game when they're actually on the field together. So this is Coach Evans with another episode of Sip the Tally Films, where we're discussing the episode 3 of Hard Knocks. So if you have not done so, like the video. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can be notified when the rest of these videos drop. And I appreciate y'all for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. Enjoy your night. Peace.